نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We are in this world to fulfill our responsibilities towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. We have not created men and jinn except that they worship us. So that's our job description. Now you ask yourself, what is the responsibility of a slave? How much he deserves to be given respite for recreation, fun, extravagance, parties, games, and other pastimes. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned in a sound hadith, "Ad-dunya sijnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." So dunya, the world, is a prison for a believer and a paradise for a disbeliever. Most of us have seen our children growing, and sometimes they come to a point where, especially in the West, they have to sit a rather tough exam, which their career depends on, like 11 plus or GCSEs, A levels. If you were to observe them while writing their paper, what is your expectation they should do? How much quote-unquote recreation time you would allow them to have while writing their paper? So if it's 3 hours paper, what should they do? What would you consider okay and not okay? But that's the same for the life. Now you may argue that people obviously get fed up if they consistently or persistently or all the time do religious obligation, and that's understandable. As a human being, we get a little bit fed up with some monotony. So there has to be variation in our actions. But I put it to you, how much time we dedicate purely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm talking about worship, acts of worship. 5 prayers a day, if most Muslims do though, with all the concentration and in jama'ah, so maybe half an hour, 8, so 2.5 hours. Okay, you may live just far from masjid, so you have 3 hours. But by the way, this is journeying and going and preparation and everything, but okay, 3 hours a day. What else do we do on a regular basis which is pure dedication? So obviously earning halal is an act of worship, but that's Allah's mercy that He makes, and He has given the status of worship to the act that we would like to do. Looking after our children and our families, which we all want naturally to do, becomes an act of worship. Even having our desires fulfilled by our relationship with the family, with the wives, even that is considered an act of ibadah. So not talking about those, but pure dedication. So I've been very generous with 3 hours a day worth of worship that people spend in prayers, and maybe another half an hour for Quran if someone is really too much involved with that. An hour maybe. 4 hours in a day. What do we do rest of the day? Whatever we do is nothing but recreation. We get different activities in a day. Whether we like it or not, this is what we do. In between 5 prayers, the rest of the time is not dedicated for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's seldom a situation where people spend time learning deen. If they do once a week, then that's a talk or a lecture that they listen to. The rest of the time is doing something other than pure worship. So what is that then? And even if it's all mubahat, then that's just recreation. That's just taking time off from some pure ibadat. Having food, for example, people enjoy it. It's okay to enjoy and have food. People sleep for hours and hours a day, twice as much as they do spend in their worship. Fine, inshallah ta'ala. Chit-chat, social media, reading papers, newspapers, books, spending time with the family, going out, visiting relatives, friends, having food together, attending weddings, other ceremonies. What is that? What else do we want on top of that? Lahaw and la'ab. A la'ib that is disliked by Allah and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We want to find that more attractive, and also we insist on that being permissible. In fact, we demand that scholars should make it allowed. As if people are just waiting for the scholars to say so, and they would start their creation in parentheses. And until that time, they're all staying away from such activities. Why do you need scholars to give the sanction to certain acts which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam clearly didn't allow? And this is why Imams of the past would say, we are the people on whose back the other people walk over to pass over the hellfire, and they come to Jannah the other end. And while we are a bridge for them over the hell. So don't let it be. And don't think that scholars would ever take that, and I would just respect the scholars for not doing that. And inshallah ta'ala, they would continue to be like that. Never to submit to the desires and whims of people, what they want. They want their television programs, the historical dramas and videos and films and cartoons for the kids, and historical dramas for themselves, and all different activities on social media, this Roblox and PS, and make it all okay for them. And then all those activities that they do with mixed gathering and everything else, oh yeah, it goes, it's okay. People do what they want to do, and they still do. This is Western idea where they would want, and the Jali idea actually, where they would want the haram to be, or dislike to be, made into halal, so that we do not even have that guilt feeling or guilt conscience. And it's so sad to see even the righteous people would want, and they tend to go out of their way to find out avenues where they can take the easiest, simpler opinion, and they would follow those scholars who would then tell them to go out and do whatever. And there's no boundaries, no lining. Why should it stop at half an hour on chess? Why not for 20 hours? Why not? If it's recreation and it's okay, then it's okay. Something that is haram or disliked is haram, regardless. if it is haram for the fact that there are reasons for it to be haram secondary to the evidence from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the form of hadith or from Quran, then if there is clear evidence on that, then it doesn't matter. The time, it doesn't matter. Whatever is declared impermissible is impermissible regardless. Now there are certain things which are not haram or disliked per se, but due to their effect on certain things, external reasons. If something is haram for that reason, for example, football, watching football, or any other games on the television for hours and hours and hours, obviously that could lead to missing out on prayer. So per se it's halal, watching it, provided they're not naked people there, no mixed gathering, no profanity and no music, then watching football is actually okay. But due to external reason, which is the people will spend hours on it and they would miss out on their prayer and other responsibilities towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, towards the creation, then for this external reason they could become haram or disliked depending on the situation. In those cases, one can keep very strict control over it and then keep it within limits. But not everything is like that. When there is a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then to even question or ask about it is disrespectful, is bad adab, even with good intention, even if it's for someone else in order to defend it. Or people would consider it like this. Let people think whatever they think. It doesn't matter. We shouldn't be bothered about what people think. People do not come to Islam because Islam doesn't allow chess. People don't come to Islam because Islam doesn't let us have too much fun as they have. They come to Islam with all its beauty, with the vis-a-vis spirituality, the rights of Allah and the creation, the clear sense of working towards the life hereafter, a good character which they see in their fellow Muslims, a sacrifice that they see their Muslim brethren, their community co-workers or people, co-citizens, going out of their way, doing those acts of charity, their smiley face, their generosity, they're taking pain for others. That's what they look at. The message is so powerful. These little things are only for people who are on media, or people who like to debate, thinking that that may convert many people to Islam. That's the only reason. Or there's certain reasons like that. No, people do not. No one accepts Islam. Perhaps no one accepts Islam with debate. Had it been the people from Najran tribe, the Christians from Najran tribe, they could have actually accepted Islam with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam debating them. If Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam couldn't convince them with the debate, who else do you think could convince anyone? People don't accept Islam because they understood everything logically and everything started making sense to them. So come out of this false sense that, actually, since there's certain strictness in Islam, hence people do not want to accept Islam. When, alhamdulillah, these people who come to Islam, they become much more practicing and better practicing than even many Muslims who have been born and raised in Islamic country and in Islamic families. Such is the power of the haqq. They in fact complain why Muslims do not practice the way they should. So yeah, on one hand it feels that we are trying to make it easy for people so people come to Islam. We actually are doing no service but rather a disservice to Islam by bending over backwards to please people. That attitude is not right. It doesn't matter what people think about Islam. Yes, if there's wrong interpretation, if there's something problematic. Now, how many people do play chess, by the way? How many people play chess, do you think, in the world? And when it comes to board game as chess, not even 1 in a million. So why we bothered about that? Why we have concern about that? Why we even ask questions like that? This is a disease of the heart. The idea of criticism to the 1400-year orthodoxy in the name of modernity, or making Islam a bit more palatable for others. We need to come out of this attitude. It's a disease, and it is going to cost a lot of next generation to lose out on their faith. Don't make Islam bend and twist and change itself for us to act and accept it. Islam is as it is. If people want to accept it, alhamdulillah. If they do not, Allah is in no need of that. We should do our best to come up with some sensible ideas behind it. And as I said, these are not the matters to be discussed with non-Muslim anyway. Even if they say so, what a big deal. At the most, it's a sin. Go, move on. Talk about something which is more important than that. Talk about shirk. Talk about major sins. Unfortunately, we have taken a completely different stance on trivial issues. And we want to change Islam based on what we think as a perceived strictness or good or bad or whatever it is. May Allah give us tawfiq to understand. And this happens. Hence the idea of spending time with shuyukh and ulama, so that we can see our faults and improve our situation, inshallah ta'ala.